Hello everyone, and welcome to the final installment in the Daily Kaylee 13 Days of Halloween segment. This is so bittersweet. I love 13 Days of Halloween, and I love sharing these bizarre cases with you guys. But I hate that it's over. Obviously, I will still be recording throughout the rest of the year, but 13 Days of Halloween just has a special place in my heart. Today's episode, to round out this year's segment, is the Liquid Matthew murder. This case is perfect for Halloween night. It has a little bit of a riddle involved, and I hope you guys enjoy it. On the evening of December 6th, 1983, in a neighborhood in Miami, Florida, two joggers were out running when they noticed a man lying face down in a parking lot. They approached the man. He's dead. He's not just passed out from an overdose or drunk or anything like that. He is dead. They call the police, and when the police arrive, they find out that this man is from Colombia, and his name is Patino Gutierrez. He had been strangled to death. The time of death was likely the same day that he was found, but no one in the area had seen anything suspicious. There also wasn't any immediate evidence that was obvious to the police either. So they tape off the scene and then begin taking their crime scene photos. However, a huge thunderstorm sweeps in, and they are forced to evacuate the area until tomorrow so that the weather could clear up. The next morning, they return to go over the area again, and they find something interesting. They don't find any hard evidence, I would say. There's no DNA, there's not a murder weapon, there was no witnesses, nothing. But they find something else. In the same parking lot, just a few feet from where Patino's body was found, they see a piece of paper taped onto the back of a sign at the edge of the parking lot. This piece of paper is inside of a plastic bag so that it wouldn't get wet in the rain. And it has a riddle. This riddle says, "Once you're back on the track, you'll travel in night. So prepare your old self for a terrible fright. Now the motive is clear, and the victim is too. You've got all the answers. Just follow the clues." Sorry if you heard my phone. I'm reading notes off of my laptop and my phone is connected and it goes off anytime someone texts me. Anyways, sorry about that. This case is straight out of honestly the fucking 80s Batman movies. This is the Riddler. I mean, it's insane. So the detectives are like, okay, well, this is kind of cheesy. It's kind of childish. We should be able to figure this out. It's nothing like the Zodiac killer or anything. This should be pretty easy. It doesn't take him long at all. Sergeant David Miller was on the case, and he actually solves this cipher within an hour of doing some research. However, they're still very confused. The killer is suggesting that the motive and the victim should be obvious. They're clear as day. And the police are well, no, we're still really, really confused by all of this. So really, it doesn't help clear anything up. It just makes it even more confusing. They thought maybe there was a code they needed to look for. Maybe they were giving directions to some location in town where they would find more evidence or something. Either way, it's insane. However, like I said, he cracks it within about an hour. And he finds a second clue. The second clue was also sealed in a plastic bag and taped on the back of a sign. This one is taped on the back of a speed limit sign just a few minutes down the road from the crime scene. This message is even more disturbing than the first. And yes, it also rhymes. This riddle says, "Yes, Matthew is dead, but his body not felt. Those brains were not Matt's because his body did melt. For Billy threw Matt in some hot boiling oil to confuse the police for the mystery they did toil." So at this point, the police are like, who the hell is Matt? Because this man is not named Matthew. They apparently boiled this man alive in some oil. Very, very confusing. And it's also strange that they mention his brains because they didn't find anything at the crime scene that would even relate to whatever they're talking about in this riddle. Like I said, they're still confused. They weren't sure if this was the killer talking about another victim and that they would find more clues and maybe another body at the end of this trail. Or maybe, like, the killer was writing in the message, they were taunting the police and they were just trying to confuse them. Which it was working for sure. Everybody was confused. Because they were confused, they spent days on this case before they decided this makes no sense. So they asked the public for help. They put out what is it called? A conference, I guess. Is that what that's called? I've seen so many crime shows and I'm not really sure what I'm talking about. Anyways, they hold a press conference. Yes, they hold a press conference. They are asking the public for help. They're telling them the riddles they have so far. It was not long before someone called and they had the information the police were looking for. However, the person who called wrote these riddles, but he was not a murderer. It was about a week and a half after the body was found. The Miami Riddler, as they called him. They called the police tip line, and he identified himself. However, this man was not guilty of anything besides being terrible at managing his activities. This man was the leader of a local Christian youth group. He did not commit this murder. These clues that had been posted around town were part of a Halloween murder mystery activity that him and his youth group did together. However, it was also supposed to rain in October, 2 months before, so they put the clues in plastic bags just in case. And somehow that was also just a huge coincidence that the police find these bags the day after it rains with the papers intact on the inside. He also obviously abandoned the notes and never went back for them after they left because of the rain. So these notes were not related to the murder at all and had completely thrown the police off track of the actual matter at hand. It was just a freaking coincidence. And the leader of this youth group felt terrible that someone was actually murdered a few feet away from the first clue. But he was not guilty, and his story was confirmed by multiple other church members. At this point, I almost wish they didn't ask for the public's help, and they had found more clues, and they had just solved the freaking fake murder mystery. Because after this, Patino's case goes completely cold. They have nothing. They have no suspects. They have no witnesses. They don't know who strangled this man. What they did find out, which sort of wraps up the case, but really it's still open for interpretation. They find out that Patino came from Panama to Miami on a cargo ship as a sailor. The ship he was on was raided by the FBI when it arrived in Miami, and the police seized 11 pounds of cocaine on board the ship. Patino was a suspect in the smuggling case, And him being murdered seemed to confirm that he was indeed involved. And they believe that the leader of the drug cartel, who was using him as a drug mule, was angry that his drugs were seized, and he strangled Patino. That was the official conclusion when they closed the case less than 2 weeks after it opened. But like I said, they never found an actual suspect. I'm sorry if you got your hopes up for that one, but I thought the riddles would be the perfect conclusion to the 13 Days of Halloween series. Today's episode is not very long. I hope after you read this, you'll go get some Halloween candy, and you'll stay up late, and you'll watch some scary movies, and you'll just embrace the last of the spooky season. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me for the past 3 years. We are officially done with the 3rd annual 13 Days of Halloween segment on Daily Kaylee. Bye, guys.